Welcome back, YouTube. We've got a request from one of the channel subscribers, Ian, who's doing a bankroll challenge on his channel. He's played some 2NL and some 5NL, and he's asked us just to have a little look at one of his sessions to see if there's a couple of tweaks we can make just to try and improve his win rate and get his bankroll climbing a little bit quicker. So I'm going to put a link to his channel in the description box. Follow him along and try and give him some support and help him build his bankroll up as well. And onto the video. So the first hand we're going to look at is just this one in the bottom left here, Queen Jack suited, which we are defending in the big blind. And we get an open and we flat. So thoughts on the call? Do we know anything about that player? Is he opening really wide from the small blind and the button trying to pinch our blind? If the answer to that's yes, I'd prefer 3-bet. If we don't know anything about him, or we know that he's tight, then the call's fine. So we'll think of your hand ranges when you're learning them as your default that you'll revert to when you don't know anything about the player. When you start building up your reads and your HUD stats on these players and you know that they're crap, or they're opening super wide, we can then start attacking that opening range with stronger parts of our range. But if we don't know him, call's fine. If we do, and he's rubbish, I think this is a good hand to raise for value. And this on the flop. So the min bet, when you've got good equity, backdoor equity in particular here is what we've got, I think you should be attacking this min bet. So half pot or less, if you've got decent to good backdoor equity, attack the smaller bets because they don't scream strength. So what's you going to do with a 6 here if you re-raise him? What's you going to do with pocket 4s? What's you going to do with pocket 5s? You're probably going to fold them. So in this position, I like a raise to 10 big blinds here when he bets out to 1 big blind. If he calls, we can narrow his range down from what we've got on the right to pretty much strong 9 holdings, really. Maybe some 7-8, maybe some 4-5. But most of his other stuff is raggy aces, even 2 overcards, unless he's got king queen or ace queen of diamonds or hearts. A lot of his stuff, his offsuit stuff, is just going to fold if we make it big enough. So I like a 10 big blind raise here, and then when we get to the turn, this card I wouldn't barrel on. So if we raise him on the flop and he calls, I would not barrel on this 4 because it doesn't really change anything for us. If he's got a 9, he's still going to call if we barrel with that 4. It doesn't really change anything at all. If we pick up equity though, so if we pick up a club, I would blast. If we pick up a 10 or a king or a jack or a queen, I would then bet again. So we're continuing with our bluffs, with our equity we pick up with the draws, with the 10s and the kings. We pick up some good shot stuff and up and down straight draws. And then if we hit our jack or queen, because he's more than likely calling with some sort of 9x holding, we can bet for value and value bet on the turn and the river. So a bit too passive, especially against a small bet there, 1 big blind bet. You've got tons of backdoor equity and you can get loads of crap to fold because we don't really know what he's opening with. So just raise that there. 100% I would have raised that hand there. And then we'll have a look at the second hand, which is a little bit similar. Carrying on the theme from the first hand, we're going to look at a very similar hand. And without flogging a dead horse, just quickly go through it and explain where I think we can try and start picking up some big blinds and building some pots when we've got tons of equity. So we're going to look at this king 10 hand. Button's opened and we've called in the big blind. We don't know a great deal about him because we've only got 22 hands on him, so we can't read too much into that really. But if we look at a pretty standard opening range from the button, it's fairly wide, so you can pretty much have any 2 cards here really. We don't know a great deal about him. So when he bets flop, I don't like the call. The same as the last hand, half pot or less, we've got tons of equity here. If he's doing this with a jack, We can have pocket threes, pocket sevens, and 2 pair combos of jack 7, whatever. And he could be doing this with absolute trash. We don't know. So a king could be good for us. We can hit a backdoor straight. We've got the front door flush draw. Just attack those weaker bet sizes when you've got tons of equity. We can continue on the turn here with a 9, a queen, an ace, or a king. And we can continue to apply that pressure to his jack X holdings and his 7X holdings. So with us calling, we've picked up a bit of equity here. He bets, we call again. And then we're sort of just left, basically, without dicking our hand, with king I when we get to the river. So I much prefer, rather than being a little bit, well, quite passive, being a bit more aggressive against those smaller bet sizes, especially when you've got tons of equity there. Just re-raise. I'd make that on the flop 15 big blinds, and then if he continues, you can narrow his range down to pretty strong ace high flush draws and then strong holdings of jacks, really. Any sets of jacks, 3s or 7s are just going to come back over the top of you. Aces, kings and queens, I would imagine if you raise, I'll just come back over the top because they'll be shitting the pants that they're going to get drawn out on with a flush draw there. And if you think about that bet size, 90% of the players on the flop there, I can't see them betting half pot with pocket aces with an overpair, because they're giving you such a good price to draw out on them. I just can't see them doing it at all. 90% of the players would bet larger there to protect the hand when there's a front door flush on the board. So, just to reiterate, same as the last hand, the smaller bet sizes, when you've got loads of equity, just attack them and you'll start picking pots up. And that's basically it for that hand. So I'm just going to use this hand here, the ace-3 hand at the bottom, as an example of what players at these stakes will do when they've either got the nuts or they have a super strong draw with tons of equity. So it's gone open, call, and then Ian's complete in the big blind, which is absolutely fine. And eventually Ivan Doggo will fire a c-bet out. I mean, according to his stats, he does it all the time anyway. So he's c-bet into 2 people. We've got a call and Ian's gone for a raise, which is fine, especially if he's c-betting all the time, which it looks like he does. But when you make it that size and he comes over the top, which he will do eventually, this on the right hand side is pretty much his range. He's got pocket 2s, pocket 6s, king queen of hearts, pocket queens, queen jack of hearts, queen 10 of hearts. Maybe he's opening queen 9 suited under the gun. I'm not convinced of that. I very much doubt it, but that's pretty much what he's got. And then we decide to get it in eventually when this other guy decides what he's doing. And I don't know what's taking him so long. And you see he's got the king queen of hearts. So that's just an example of what the players at these stakes will do when they've got it. So again, just going back to the previous hands, if you're attacking the weaker bets on the flop when you're defending your big blind, they're going to tell you when they've got it, because they'll just come back over the top. So when they're betting small and you've defended your big blind, if you've got your backdoor equity with your flushes and your straights and stuff with overs, definitely attack those smaller bets and try for a couple of sessions. Hopefully it starts working for you straight away, but try for a couple of sessions and then see if you're starting to pick up those pots that you would normally be quite passive in, and just get to the river and then end up folding when you've missed your draw. Don't do it when they're blasting pot size bets into you though, but like I've said, if they're betting small, half pot and less, definitely attack those smaller bets with your backdoor equity. And that's basically it, mate. I just thought I'd cover a couple of hands there where when you're defending your big blind, I think you can be a bit more aggressive and try and win a few more pots. And hopefully you're doing quite well anyway at 2NL. It'll help you boost your win rate up just a touch. And it's all about these little, implementing these tiny things into your sessions, small bits at a time, and eventually they'll become natural parts of your game. And then you won't be thinking about doing it when you're doing it. Because if you're trying to implement a load of stuff at once, there's too much to think about. You'll not be able to focus on. If you're anything like me, I can't. So I like picking just a small thing, and then we'll implement that into our next session, that one thing, and just try and build on it. So hopefully you found this helpful, Ian. Hopefully everybody else who watches it finds it helpful. I'll add a link to Ian's YouTube channel in the description box. Follow him along on his journey on his bankroll challenge. He's building it up bit by bit, and hopefully you'll enjoy his content as much as you've enjoyed mine. And that's me. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much for watching.